And each one of these words is important. The first, global, that's critical. Private, no government oversight. Digital, decentralized, rules-based monetary system in history. It is what my mentor, and many people know Art Laffer for his Laffer curve and fiscal policy and so forth. He's a monetary scholar as well. And he said, I have been waiting for this for 50 years, ever since they closed the gold window here in the United States in 1971.
Michael Saylor, creator and executive chairman of MicroStrategy, spoke powerfully at Bitcoin Atlant this month, predicting that spot Bitcoin ETFs would soon exceed gold ETFs. He also predicted that the world's most traded ETF, the SPY ETF, would surpass gold ETFs. The SP 500 ETF became the first to cross $500 billion in assets last month. Several factors are aligning to make Bitcoin a $20 trillion asset class by 2030. Cathie recently spoke to the New Zealand Herald about an intriguing and crucial aspect of Bitcoin's supply and demand. Since trading began on January 11th, the 9-spot Bitcoin ETFs and GBTC have bought 7,962.38.6 Bitcoin, more over 4% of all Bitcoin in circulation. Cathie says pent-up demand remains. Thousands of institutional investors are ready to buy Bitcoin, but long-term holders won't sell. Cathie expects Bitcoin's price to rise significantly, prompting some long-term investors to sell to BlackRock and ARK Invest. She stated this in a NZ Herald interview. Cathie also discusses how the herring tragedy will affect cryptocurrency prices, especially as ETFs are buying them in record quantities. The CEO of ARK Invest says Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are poised for a strong year. Check out Cathie's interview footage. Please like, subscribe, and bell to get more.
I guess what we were hoping is that as GBT was ceding share, that we would be among the top 3, because we believe that 3 ETFs ultimately will win, and we are, against most expectations and against some very formidable and much larger companies, we are number 3, and actually our number is over 2.1 billion now. So we've been very, very pleased. Of course, BlackRock and Fidelity are number 1 and number 2. They're converting their existing client base from GBTC into their own funds and attracting new funds, of course. But we have a disproportionate amount of new funds coming in onto our platform. And before I answer that, I do want to give a lot of credit to our partners in this David versus Goliath battle. 21 Shares is the infrastructure and ops of ARK 21 Shares. And then Resolute is our distribution partner here in the US. So have to give them both lots of credit. And of course, our team, our incredible research team as well. So that done, do we agree with Michael Saylor that ultimately this category, Bitcoin and other crypto assets, could be bigger than SPY? Yes, we do. Absolutely, we do. And Bitcoin alone is going to be the biggest part of the entire crypto asset ecosystem. Our expectation out in 2030 that it will be a $20 trillion, it will be worth $20 trillion. Now, how much will ETFs get of that $20 trillion? I don't know, but that already right there is, if you think about it, I mean, it runs circles around SPY, number 1. And I believe all of public equities globally, no matter what wrapper they're in, are valued right now at roughly $120 trillion. So when I say 20 trillion by 2030, that's a very big category.
During the meeting, Cathie says that people's views on investing in Bitcoin are quickly shifting. She thinks that the shift really began in March during the U.S. regional banking crisis. According to Cathie, many investors who had previously called Bitcoin magic internet money saw it quickly turn into a powerful risk-off asset with no counterparty risks, which is not the case with most other asset classes. Cathie thinks that this event changed the whole story about Bitcoin and got investors ready for the spot Bitcoin ETFs. even though the ETFs were a huge hit. Cathie says there's more to come. The founder and CEO of ARK Invest, Cathie, is excitedly anticipating the day when wirehouses connected to big names like Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo will start to offer these spot Bitcoin ETFs. She thinks that would be a huge deal for ARB, other Bitcoin ETFs, and the underlying cryptocurrency. Let's go back to the interview.
Okay, so all of the ETFs out there right now hold about 3.9%, roughly 4% as of today, of all the Bitcoin outstanding. Now, the really interesting thing about that is if you look at on-chain analytics, which our analyst David Puel does for us, you'll see that long-term holders account for, I believe, 15 million of the Bitcoin outstanding, roughly 15 million. Total outstanding right now is 19.5 million. And the total that will ever be outstanding is 21 million. Those long-term holders are not selling. That's what's going on with the price right now. And the flows into the ETFs which have taken the friction out of buying Bitcoin and which can be used as collateral for loans, whereas Bitcoin itself cannot, suggest to us that that added 1.5 million to go in Bitcoin is going to have to cover a lot of investors, institutions, and so forth. In other words, the price will have to go high enough to wrest the supply, some of the supply, out of long-term holder hands. And just to clarify, long-term holders, and again, you can track this on chain, they have not moved their Bitcoin from their wallets in at least 155 days. And when that occurs, the odds that they will move their Bitcoin go down dramatically unless the price spikes dramatically. The halving, so we'll go from roughly 1.9% growth in Bitcoin supply per year down to 0.9%. So we will drop below 1% for the first time. And if you look at the long-term history of gold, very long-term, what you'll find is the average supply growth has been roughly 1%. So now Bitcoin supply growth is dropping below the supply growth of gold. That is a milestone, I would say. And the other difference here is when the gold price spikes, there's usually a mining response and the supply spikes with it. That cannot happen with Bitcoin. So it's quite a different dynamic. So the halving is that milestone. And if you look historically after halvings, it's usually been very good for the Bitcoin price. Now, it doesn't happen right away. I don't know why it doesn't happen right away, but it doesn't. Now that the market's becoming more efficient with ETFs, it might, because think about how many people even know about the halving this time around when they didn't even know what Bitcoin was 4 years ago. They didn't know what it truly was. And if I can just throw one in terms of how we try and describe what this monetary revolution is, and each one of these words is important. The first, global, that's critical. Private, no government oversight. Digital, decentralized, rules-based monetary system in history. It is what my mentor, and many people know Art Laffer for his Laffer curve and fiscal policy and so forth. He's a monetary scholar as well. And he said, I have been waiting for this for 50 years, ever since they closed the gold window here in the United States in 1971.
The latest spot Bitcoin ETFs update from senior Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balunis is as bullish as ever. In a post on the social media site X on Friday, Eric said that all spot Bitcoin ETFs were having another great trading day. His post reads, "Something is in the water again." The 10 Bitcoin ETFs have seen a big day's worth of volume in the first 2 hours, on pace to beat Tuesday's wild 10 billion day. BlackRock's IBIT alone is $2.2 billion a billion a day. Is buy it broke the record set last week with $30 billion worth of trades. And it's likely to add another $6 billion this week by the time the market closes at 4:00 p.m. Even though the ETFs only came out on January 11th, they are still breaking and setting records. This proves that they are not a passing trend but are here to stay, and as Cathie and Saylor said, will totally turn all other ETFs and asset classes on their heads. What did you think of Cathie Wood's interview? Please leave your thoughts in comments below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post alerts to see more videos like this.